A Quiet Place Day 1 is the new iteration of the recent franchise of A Quiet Place, and I find this one really interesting because it's similar to other movies from this kind of genre, but it has a different take and a valid one. So let's follow this path and analyze why this movie stands out in my vision as its own. So first let's settle up what kind of movies I am talking about when saying this genre. And this genre, in my opinion, means to sci-fi apocalyptic thriller movies. And that's specifically the genre that I want to talk about because it's a genre that combines the sci-fi apocalyptic scenarios with lots of suspense and things that are commonly seen in thrillers. The movies that I want to use as an example are War of the World from Steven Spielberg, Cloverfield by Matt Reeves, and The Happening by M. Night Shyamalan. And yeah, I know that not a lot of people are a big fan of this movie, but I think it's interesting to analyze the elements that combine or are combined in this movie. In War of the Worlds, we follow the story of an ordinary man that has to protect its family from the upcoming invasion of aliens. We have a lot of the topics that we're going to discuss through all of the other movies. We have a group of people who have to survive. We have an mysterious threat that is going to break the common life of protagonist group. And in this movie we have an interesting topic that is that essentially it's a road movie. An apocalyptic road movie. Because in these movies, our protagonists have goals. They are traveling because they need to get to some place. In road movies, well, it's not essentially because they want to survive a dream or something like this, but essentially they are traveling because they want to continue living. Essentially, move on. And moving on, we have Cloverfield, and in this movie, it's interesting how they use the format of found footage to create a complete different atmosphere, a more threatening and a more crude atmosphere. The common elements of this movie is that we have a group of people who needs to survive an attack of an unknown threat. In this case, a giant monster that is erasing New York. The feelings that this movie transmits to its viewer is desperation, a lot of desperation. We see a lot of chaos, we see a lot of panic, and there's these constant tense situations that are happening like in every part of the movie, and that's something that makes it like quite a journey. And we find like a lot of elements that we already like saw in War of the Worlds, like the unknown threat and the road movie type of format. You know, people traveling and having to go from point A to point B and to follow a dream to survive. You know. And finally, we have The Happening, a controversial movie that I thought people like it, but then I watched some reviews on internet and everybody says that it's garbage, that is really bad acted and bad directed. But when I see this movie, I think it wants to emulate the sense of seeing a Class B movie and that kind of thing, but with a different format and a really interesting kind of elements. In this movie, we have completely mysterious thing that's happening, and it's something like people starts to, end its life by itself. Quite shocking the first time you saw, and a group of people have to survive this strange situation, And here we have the other thing that have in common with the others, an unknown threat. In this case, there are no aliens, there are not giant monsters. We only have the threat of people getting itself deloading for life. And I think this is a quite interesting movie because yeah, we have the we have the supervivience thematic where the characters have to adapt to the different ambience that they need to face in order to survive. And we have this sense of of panic, paranoia, and a lot of things happening all at once. And I find this movie really interesting, really fun to see. Yeah, it's not the best movie, but I quietly recommend it if you like it like the other two. Just expect something that is not commonly seen. It's quite strange in its format, its way to tell the story, its eccentricities, but it's really entertaining. If you like some Class B movies, you're going to see these elements similar. Like for example, this movie the that are bears attacking people like from out of nowhere. I kinda think this movie wants to emulate that kind of feeling, and this movie is really interesting in general. That leaves us with A Quiet Place Day One, a movie that essentially is quite the same from the others. Like we have an unknown threat that is attacking a group of people, and this group of people have to survive. But just in this case, there's not just a group of people. We essentially have like two characters, two principal characters, and the principal or the main character have an affection that I'm not going to tell because I think it's something that you have to see. And just that element changes a lot of the things that the movie can tell, because if we have something in this condition, why he will go through all the hassle of traveling to survive? Well, in this case, it is justified with a thing that I'm not going to tell because I find it really interesting and actually like kind of refreshing. We have a different kind of goal, and this goal is really interesting because it kind of correlates with the story itself, what makes it more entertaining to see. In general, all these movies have protagonists have to face extreme situations that are life or death in a world that is going completely down. We have no threats that really makes this movie kind of a thriller and a mystery because we need to solve why this is happening, or why or where do we have to go in order to survive. All of these elements in general create a sensation of you know facing something that we're definitely not prepared to go against, because the characters face dangers that they do not really comprehend, and the not comprehension of these kind of things about nature, about space, makes this one a lot more interesting in general. And the element of road movies being apocalyptical, it's an element that I find really interesting because the traveling is something that is under nature. The, the humans, or in general us, we have to move on to overcome situations. We have to face difficulties, and I kind of think that normal road movies kind of reflect that, and just like make a plus and make it apocalyptical is really another level of human exploration. The search of satiety is something that we all share. well, not in the way, but we achieve the sense of searching for something that make us feel safe. I think that's one of the reasons that we all like these movies. Make us explore the fears that we essentially hide. We can sense empathy and human connections. We feel adrenaline and suspense with all of these, action sequences that happens in these movies. We have a kind of reflection of our humanity and how we face hard situations that are out of the society. We can find some kind of, you know, superation to overcome of problems, to wake up and say, yeah, I'm going to do this. And that's why I love movies in general. But in a specific, why I like sci-fi apocalyptic thrillers. Well, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like it. And